Welcome to this Higher English session about critical essay writing. My name's Dr. Adam. Our learning intention is to revise how to prepare for Higher English critical essay writing, and the success criteria. Hopefully you will gain insight into approaches that will support you to do well in critical essay writing, and you'll feel more confident about how to gain a high mark for your critical essays. It's important that you choose from the correct section for your text. There are 6 sections in the critical essay part of the exam for Higher English. Take care to choose from the correct section for your text. There's drama, prose fiction, prose non-fiction, poetry, film and television drama, and language. This might seem very obvious, but sometimes people choose from the wrong section. Once you've chosen the correct section, take some time to select the best question or task for your text. There will always be a choice of 3 in each section, so read the questions carefully before choosing which is best for you. And remember that Higher English questions have 2 parts and always ask you to do 2 things. And here's an example. Choose a novel or short story which conveys a particularly pessimistic or inspiring message. By referring to appropriate techniques, explain the nature of the message and discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the text as a whole. The first part of all critical essay questions allows you to decide whether or not your text will fit the question. For the task above, it obviously needs to be a novel or short story with either a pessimistic or an inspiring message. That would appear to fit with many texts. The next part of the question tells you exactly what you need to do in your essay. By referring to appropriate techniques, explain the nature of the message and discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the text as a whole. The second part of the task always asks you to do 2 things. So here you're asked to explain the nature of the message, and then, the second part, discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the text as a whole. And it's really important that you do both of these things. You're always asked to discuss appropriate techniques. And you'll know all about these because you'll have been taught these in English since first year. In National 5 and Higher English, you'll be reminded about these techniques in the box at the start of each critical essay task. So for example, answers to questions on prose fiction should refer to the text and to such relevant features as characterisation, setting, language, key incidents, climax, turning point, plot, structure, narrative technique, theme, ideas, description. To revise your critical essay text thoroughly, consider creating a revision booklet, a presentation or mind map that includes notes and quotes about all the relevant techniques. Higher English critical essay questions will always ask you something about the text as a whole. Think carefully about what that might be. For example, greater understanding of themes, characterisation, setting, and so on. If you look at the drama section from a past paper, you'll see once again that there are 2 parts to each question and you're asked to do 2 things. So for example, choose a play in which a major character experiences different emotions throughout the play, and then you have to, by referring to appropriate techniques, explain how the dramatist makes you aware of these different emotions and discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the play as a whole. The same is true in the prose fiction section, by referring to appropriate techniques and discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the text as a whole. The prose non-fiction questions are a little bit different, as you can see. They still start with by referring to appropriate techniques, but they don't have the second part I mentioned. The poetry questions return to the familiar pattern by referring to appropriate techniques, and then something about your appreciation of the poem as a whole. The film and television drama questions follow the same format with reference to appropriate techniques and then appreciation of the film or television drama as a whole. Please don't be tempted to try these questions if you haven't actually been taught film and television. This might seem like a really obvious thing to say, but sometimes people actually try these questions when they haven't been taught film and television drama. The language questions are slightly different, and again, like film and television drama, you should obviously only attempt these questions if you've been taught language. A task for you to try: look at all the SQA past papers and note the tasks or questions that would work well for your text. Once you've chosen a task, it's important to consider how to structure your essay. It might help if you imagine it like a journey with a starting point, the introduction, and a final destination, the conclusion. You also need to think about what's going to go into each of your paragraphs. Some teachers recommend aiming for 5 paragraphs for higher English critical essays, others always recommend 6. The first and last paragraphs are always the introduction and conclusion, so you have to think carefully about the body of your essay, the 3 or 4 paragraphs in between the introduction and the conclusion. Let's take a look at a specific question and see how we might go about planning it. This question is: choose a play in which there is a scene involving a moment of conflict or of resolution to conflict. By referring to details of the scene, explain how the dramatist presents this moment and discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the play as a whole. As I said previously, paragraphs 1 and 6 are the introduction and the conclusion, so you need to think about paragraphs 2, 3, 4 and 5. I'm suggesting that paragraph 2 might be a paragraph describing what happens in the key scene, the moment of conflict or the resolution to conflict, whichever one you've chosen. Then you're going on to the second part of the question, which is discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the play as a whole. And I'm suggesting paragraphs 3, 4 and 5 discuss understanding of a character, and then of another character, and then understanding of a main theme. As with many things in higher English, there isn't just one correct way of doing this, so you might want to have a slightly different plan, which would have paragraphs 1, 2 and 6 as I described previously, and this time as an alternative to go for paragraphs 3, 4 and 5 as a further understanding of different themes in the play. You can now write paragraph plans for all the suitable essay tasks you've chosen. The first paragraph of your critical essay should always include 3 main components: the title and author, a brief plot outline, and a reference to your task or question. The first 2 components can be memorised once you have a version that you like. You then need to tell your marker what you intend to do and how by referring to the task or question. Referring to the task is really important. This is like the map for your journey, telling your reader how you will get to your final destination. So, for example, choose a play in which there is a scene involving a moment of conflict or of resolution to conflict. By referring to details of the scene, explain how the dramatist presents this moment and discuss how this contributes to your appreciation of the play as a whole. Your reference to task might be something like this: Act 3, Scene 1 shows a moment of conflict, and this contributes to my appreciation of the play as a whole by explaining more about 2 main characters and by highlighting the important themes. The sentence above shows clearly what you intend to write about in this critical essay. So remember, you have to tell your marker what you intend to do and how by referring to the task or question. So let's look at another one. Choose a play in which a character has a weakness or flaw. By referring to appropriate techniques, explain the importance of this weakness or flaw and discuss how it contributes to your appreciation of the play as a whole. A suitable reference to the task for this one would be something like: in this play, the character of Romeo has a flaw, and this enhances my understanding of the play as a whole by highlighting central themes. So this clearly tells your marker that the character you're going to be writing about is Romeo, and the significance of this is that this enhances your understanding of the play as a whole by highlighting central themes. A third example, and this one for prose fiction: choose a novel or short story in which the setting in time or place is important to your understanding of the text. By referring to appropriate techniques, explain the nature of the setting and discuss how it's important to your understanding of the text as a whole. A suitable reference to task would be something like, in The Great Gatsby, the setting and time and place is very important to my understanding of characterization and key themes. This sentence again shows what you intend to write about and how you're going to go on to develop the second part of the task. If you struggle to know what to write about in each paragraph, the peel approach might help. So this is point, evidence, explanation, and link. However, this approach won't suit everyone. Some people really like it, but for others, it doesn't appeal. So it's up to you. Key or topic sentences are vital for all essays, not just in English. These remind us of the task in hand and avoid us rambling on. So each paragraph should have a key sentence to signpost and to link to the task. Signposting is an important skill in all essay or assignment writing in school and beyond, and it ensures that you stick to the topic and don't go off at tangents. Remember that a beautifully written generic essay won't gain high marks. You have to link all of your points to the task. On this slide, I've provided you with some key sentences for an essay we looked at earlier on slide 20. So for example, in paragraph 2, when you're describing what happens in the key scene, you want to specify what that key scene actually is. So something like, the moment of conflict occurs in, and then say where in the play. For paragraph 3, the moment of conflict reveals a great deal about the character of, fill in the blank. For paragraph 4, similar because you're going to be talking about another character, this moment of conflict also enhances my understanding of the characterization of next character. And then paragraph 5, where you're talking about themes. Furthermore, this key moment helped me to understand the theme of whatever the theme is. Hopefully you're starting to see that there are lots of short revision tasks that are really helpful for critical essay writing. You don't always have to write the full essay. So another task for you is this one. Go back to your essay plans and add key sentences to each of them. That will really help you to prepare your critical essays. The conclusion is also important, and some people struggle to know what to write here. There are various ways of approaching a conclusion, but I think a simple and straightforward way is the 3 bullet points on this slide. So you need to sum up, tell the marker where you've been, write a sentence about each technique you've discussed, and then make a final evaluative comment about the impact of the text on the reader. Just to recap on what we've covered so far, you must ensure that you choose your critical essay task carefully, make sure you address the full question, plan your essay and map it out in the first paragraph or the introduction by referring to the task or question, guide your reader using signposts or key sentences throughout the essay, and try to conclude well. It's also really useful to know how critical essays are marked. And this isn't a secret, you can find this on the SQA website. Critical essays are always marked in the same way using the same criteria. You're given marks for knowledge and understanding, analysis, evaluation and technical accuracy. The technical accuracy criteria is consistent for all the categories from 10 to 20 out of 20. So that is few errors in spelling, grammar, sentence construction, punctuation and paragraphing, and the ability to be understood at first reading. It's also consistent for 0 to 9 out of 20. Significant errors in spelling, grammar, sentence construction, punctuation and paragraphing, which impedes understanding. A task for you to try: look at the marking criteria for each of the categories on the following slides and think about the key words for each category. Hopefully you have worked out that the keywords for the 19 or 20 out of 20 category are thorough, perceptive and committed. In the 16 to 18 category, the keywords are secure, detailed and engaged. In the 13 to 15 out of 20 category, the main word is clear. And the main word for the 10 to 12 out of 20 category is adequate. There are also explanations of 0 to 10 if you want to see them, and those are on the SQA website. It's a good idea to look at your own or a friend's critical essay and try to work out which category it fits into. If you're not sure, obviously ask your teacher, and also if you want to know how to move up into higher category, ask your teacher. So, to recap, we've been learning how to prepare for critical essay writing at Higher. Hopefully you have gained insight into approaches that will support you to do well in critical essay writing, and hopefully too you will find that you begin to feel more confident about how to gain a high mark in your critical essays. Finally, a summary of what you might want to do now. As suggested, make a revision booklet, presentation or mind map that includes notes about all the relevant techniques for your text. Look at the past papers and note the tasks or questions that would work well for your text. Make a plan for critical essays for the task you've chosen. Look at your own or a friend's critical essay and try to work out which category it falls into for marks. And if you're not sure how to move up to the next category, please ask your teacher. Thank you for accessing this resource. Good luck with your critical essay writing.